Jocelynn James had a tough life. She was involved with drugs and much worse at a young age. She had many chances to get herself clean and healthy, but she ignored them time and time again. Before we continue, please take some time to subscribe to Dailydose, like, and share this video with your friends. But when one day she saw the picture of an old officer who had arrested her multiple times, Jocelynn knew what to do. She would finally repay him back after putting her in jail time after time in the most unexpected way possible. It all started when doctors discovered that Jocelynn had cancerous cells growing on her ovaries. While this wasn't fatal, if left untreated, could cause major problems down the road. And it was advised that she have surgery to remove the cells, but 6 surgeries later, the cancerous cells kept coming back. In the end, a hysterectomy, a surgical procedure to remove the uterus, became the only option for Jocelynn. At that point, she had been at the hospital more than she had stayed at home and found it harder to recover after each procedure. Despite all the discomfort, she went ahead and had the hysterectomy, but was in incredible pain post-op. This was the start of the end for Jocelynn. Her doctor prescribed her strong opiate pain relievers, which were actually standard for pain relief after hysterectomies. And while opiates are great for managing pain, they are also addictive, and Jocelynn fell hard for the drugs. She might have gotten rid of the cancerous cells in her body, but now she craved the opiates, which helped dull the pain from all her surgeries. The Alabama woman who had been living a normal life was now heading straight towards her own destruction. She later told reporters, "I became an IV user. I was shooting up about 16 times a day." Jocelynn had recovered well, and her doctor didn't see a reason for her to continue taking the opiates. Little did he know that Jocelynn had been abusing her prescription and was taking far more than recommended. She had become an addict so quickly that Jocelynn didn't even realize any of the red flags, but now with her prescription finished, she started to panic. She needed her fix and needed it quick. The life of crime followed. She went off the rails and became involved in petty crimes. She remembers those dark days saying, "I was just living a really bad life, doing a lot of really bad things that I shouldn't have had no business doing, and I was just a really lost person." Her friends and family abandoned her due to her addiction. Jocelynn was committing break-ins, receiving stolen property, and was caught in possession of stolen credit cards. Between 2007 and 2012, she said, "I lost my car, lost my job, my license, my self-respect." By the late 2000s, Jocelynn James had already been arrested more than 15 times in the 5 years after she had her last surgery and became addicted to opiates. Her life was tumbling and spiraling in the wrong direction. One of the police officers who had arrested her on several occasions was Terrell Potter. At the time, he had no idea that Jocelynn James, the well-known drug user in Alabama, was going to end up saving his life. She was out running crazy, stealing and doing drugs and things she shouldn't be doing. I locked her up a couple of times." He continued. "She would almost make it out, but yet she would keep falling back into the same pattern. Eventually it caught up with her. Once full of promise and hope, Jocelynn had lost all her potential because of her drug use. She even landed her on Alabama's most wanted list, a list no one ever wants to find themselves on. Yet, in a strange turn of events, her name appearing on this list gave Jocelynn a sharp wake-up call. She needed to get her life together and recounts that when she saw her name on TV as a most wanted in her county, she said to herself, "I'm tired," and turned herself in. It was during her incarceration did Jocelynn finally get clean. To say it was hard would be an understatement. She explains, "I literally asked God to please take that urge away from me, and on March 18th, He delivered me, and I promise you, I have not thought about getting high since." By the time she left jail, Jocelynn was determined to make a fresh start. "I was sick of living that life, and I wanted to do something different," she said. "I'm perfect, I'm healthy, and I had no idea that I was that healthy." Now that Jocelynn was clean, it was time to rebuild herself from the ground up. She found a stable job, got herself a small apartment, and decided to live an honest life far away from drugs and crime. She expected herself to falter or even stumble, but fast forward a few years later, Jocelynn was still clean. One night, scrolling through Facebook, she stumbled on a post and saw a face from her past. It was from police officer Terrell Potter, the very same officer who had been responsible for arresting her at some of her lowest points. Rather than feel resentment towards the man, she actually remembered him fondly. But as she read the post, she realized that Terrell Potter needed help, and that too quickly. His family was looking for kidney donors for the retired cop. His own kidney was failing and was only functioning at 5%. Potter's family had looked high and low for a match inside their family and friend circle, but now were searching the whole Southeast to find someone who could match with the police officer before it was too late. He was on the public registry but would have to wait for 8 years for his turn, a time which he most likely would not have survived. He said, "We began praying about getting the right kidney," he said. "We were looking all over the Southeast," he added. "I said, I just don't feel like I'll have to wait that long. I feel like that there is something out there." Little did he know that he had met the answers to his prayers many times while putting her inside jail. Jocelynn James was deeply moved by the post and knew she had to help. She believes that there was a higher power that was guiding her towards this outcome. "I just threw my phone down, and the Holy Spirit told me right then that I had that man's kidney." Like as mentioned above, Jocelynn instinctually felt she should help the retired police officer, but now it was time to find out if she could. So she called the number mentioned on the post and set up a meeting with Potter. The police officer immediately recognized her from all the arrests and couldn't believe how Jocelynn had finally turned her life around. It all felt like a surreal dream, but the two didn't have much time to catch up. She needed to go to the hospital and know for sure if they were a match, and it was all good news. Jocelynn was a perfect match for Terrell. The doctors said they had never had a better match for a kidney transplant. On July the 21st, 2019, Terrell and Jocelynn went through transplant surgery at Vanderbilt University Hospital in Nashville. The procedure was considered high risk, despite them being a good match. Doctors warned them that sometimes, despite all the tests and the perfect match, Potter's body could just reject the organ without any warning. Full of nerves, both Terrell and Jocelynn went to surgery at the same time. Thankfully, it all went smoothly. There were no complications, and according to one of his doctors who said, all the numbers were great, it started working from the time it was put in. A simple Facebook post had brought these two together, and Jocelynn, once a drug addict, had given the police officer responsible for all her arrests the biggest gift ever. The most heartwarming part was that Jocelynn felt like it was her duty to do so and never asked for compensation or any financial support. To think that after abusing her own body with drugs for so many years and dealing with her health crisis, Jocelynn James managed to heal her body, not just physically but emotionally, just in time to be there for Potter. Jocelyn's 360-degree switch from once being a criminal to now being a selfless and honest woman is one that alone would have been worthy of much praise, but her going above and beyond by helping Potter truly shows her generosity truly has no bounds. In all this, Jocelynn refused to take any sort of compliments on her decision. She herself felt that she was put on this earth to help Potter and would have done it 1,000,000 times over if she had the chance. Soon, the story of her donation to Potter became a national story, and news channels started calling her 24/7 to get a quote or interview her on why or how she made her decision. In all this, Jocelynn only had this to say: "God restored me from the inside out, and to be able to give another human a kidney to extend his life is really rewarding." Of course, Terrell himself could never find the words to thank Jocelynn. She had all but saved his life. The retired police officer had always experienced grudges and hate from all the people he had arrested during his long career, and to see that one of those people hadn't just learned from their mistakes, but also had managed to turn their life around to help him in the end, was a feeling of utter gratefulness and appreciation. The whole experience had changed both of them and created an inseparable bond between the two. It's made a great relationship and a bond between us that can go forever. There's no doubt about that, Terrell admits. Her giving me a kidney, it extended my life. The retired police officer even welcomed Jocelynn into his own family. "I feel like she's one of my girls. I had 2 daughters and I feel like she's just one of them.